Hi, my name's Keith Cooper from Northlight Images. In this video, I'm addressing a question I was asked recently about sending prints off to labs to get larger prints made than you can perhaps print yourself. So you've got something like this, 8550. This will print sort of panoramics. It will print A3 plus, 13-inch by 19-inch. But let's say you want bigger prints like this, and you don't want to go to the trouble and expense of actually getting a bigger printer. How can you ensure consistent quality? Well, there are a few simple steps you can take. And I'm going to assume that you perhaps do your own printing, although this is broadly applicable even if you don't do your own printing. First of all, is your monitor and editing set up correctly? Now, I calibrate all of these monitors that I use and actually use, because I use them professionally. Well, at least the ones down the other end of the room. These ones I just use mainly for the YouTube stuff. But I've got them set up. My editing setup is something I trust. I'm using working spaces. I'm processing the images in a way that I know is going to give good quality. So there is some aspects of that. I suppose it's a polite way of saying, are your images actually good enough to get the better print, the big prints you want? Sizes and other things, that's an entire matter altogether. But I'm going to assume that your editing setup is pretty solid. If you're doing your own printing, have you got your printing setup right? Can you reliably print a test image like this one here? This is a standard one. I put links to it in the notes for it. It's a standard test image I've used for years. I know it well enough. I can tell if it looks right. Now, on the download page for this particular image, there is actually quite a lengthy description of each of the panels in here and what you should be looking for in terms of print quality. But essentially, you're looking that it's okay. So for a simple one, the black and white bit here, is that black and white, or has that got a greenish magenta color tinge or something like that? But that's using a test image. I've done lots of stuff on using test images for your own printing. Also, if you're doing your own printing, are you actually evaluating your prints properly? Ideally use kind of lighting that will work well for this. This particular one here, I'm using the Ultralux lamp here. I've got this, I know the brightness is about okay, even with all the other lights I've got on here. So I'm actually looking at prints. I've done lots of things about, are your prints coming out dark if you're doing your own prints? But what about if you're not actually doing your own printing for these and you're just sending your images off? How do you know they're going to come out right? What about if they come out too dark, too bright? All sorts of problems with that. Well, once again, the answer is to send to your printer this test image. Now, send it to the lab. See what you get back. You don't have to print it this size. You can reduce it down, make it smaller, and do it relatively cheaply. Who knows? Better quality labs may even offer test prints that have been printed and made out on this. But you want to send this to them and you want to check that sending them a known good image gives you a result coming back, a good looking print. Basically, if your lab gets this wrong, then, well, why are you using that lab? If they can't print something like this and get a good result off it, they're not worthy of the name. So use that as a test for quality there. Take care with profiles and things like that. I've got versions of this in different color spaces and things like that. So there is some capability for expanding what you send off to them. But basically, the test image, they should be able to handle it. Right, so you've sent off your test image and it looks okay. Let's say you're printing your own images as well, and this same test image, don't rely on one of your own images. I don't rely on my own images for testing stuff like this. I use something like this that I've used for years and I know it inside out. Don't rely initially on just any of your own images. Use something like this. So let's say your own print then comes out wrong. Well, you've got a printing problem somewhere. If the test image is good, that's good. That leads you to the next bit. Your own images. as I say, if your own ones are coming out light, you're editing them too light, or you've got something set up wrong, you've got a wrong profile or something like that. If they come out too dark, there's all sorts of reasons they come out too dark. Your monitor might be too bright. There's loads of reasons for that. But ideally, we should be at a point where your own test image produced on your own printer looks great, and then the test image that's been printed by the lab also looks great. Now, you'll notice here in this particular one, I've got two pictures on this sheet. This second one is a picture of my own. Now, this happens to be one I use for testing purposes because I printed it probably hundreds of times, and I know it has some very tricky, strong colours in it, and how this looks on different papers varies considerably because the colours are pushing out of gamut. They give you indications about whether the rendering intents you're using are right when you're printing, or all sorts of things. But there is no reason not to create a single image which has, on one side, this test image. Don't edit it, don't alter it in any way whatsoever. And on the other side, the image you want to print. Then send this combined file. And of course, once again, it doesn't need to be this size. You could print it A4, even smaller if you wanted. But the whole idea is you have a test image and you have one of your own images. Now, if you get it back and this looks right and this looks wrong, and you've not printed it yourself, then you know there's something wrong with your editing of this image. This shouldn't be, but really this is a way of just checking consistency by using sort of known images to see that, well, if the lab can't, well, the lab should definitely be able to print a good version of this. And also, they should be able to print your image as well with it. Now, if they both come back looking great, problem solved. The lab's a good one. You can trust them with images. If you're getting different, you really do then have to start looking into aspects of your image editing, your monitor setup, all sorts of things like that. There are lots of little bits and pieces. And I say, under the general issue of your prints look too dark or look wrong, I've done quite a few videos and articles covering things like that. But really the idea I'm trying to say here is that if you're going to use a lab, send them this, possibly with one of your own images next to it as a test to see that they're doing things correctly. And that's a way of doing it. Now, why have I not given specific examples of using labs here? Well, it's partly because I think it's over 20 years since I last had an image printed for me. I've done my own printing for many years. And I do lots of printer testing and stuff like that. So I will set a challenge, and this is to anywhere in the UK, although anywhere else if they want to pay the postage. If you've got a pro lab wants to do a collaboration with me, if your prints are good enough, I'll send you some test images and see what happens, and we can have a look at it. I honestly don't know. I'm quite happy to have a go at doing this. Let's say, contact me off list, email me at Northlight Images if you're curious about it. But if you are a pro lab worth the name, why wouldn't you? Anyway, hope that helps a little bit. I say these images are all available for download from the Northlight Images website. I'll make sure all the stuff is linked in the notes to this, but just as a simple way of using something like this, even if you don't do your own printing. I say for my own printing, it's an important part of it. But even if you're getting someone else to do the printing for you, just remember, if they can't print this, what can they print? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. Somebody's question actually gave me the idea for just this short video, so there you go. Thanks for watching. All the usual like and subscribe, please, if you found it helpful. It does help. And bye.